Well, it looks like it's kind of a. Oh, I got the echo way up here. I better turn that down. Hope that's better. Oh, heck. We don't want all that echo in there. Well, it's kind of a chilly, cold Sunday out there. Whew. I thought I'd just give a little shout out today. I made my rounds to all the different channels out there. I looked at Super Dave was on there today. It talking about a letter that was sent to Volpe. Looked like a kind of a threatening type letter. I think Bruce received one as well. The lawyer that's helping out on the Michelle and John case over there in Otter Creek. I looked at the balance of Lisa's show from last night. Oh, things are, every day there's something new going on, I guess. Noel's trying to run. Sorry. Sometimes you can't help it. It's a cold day out there today, and for some reason my garage even feels a little chilly. And it's well, it's in the 70s in here, but you feel the kind of a cold, radiant cold, and I don't know why. Furnace is working fine, and I don't have any leaks, I don't think, in here to let the outside in, but who knows? Yeah, a lot of comments yesterday from what I thought about the benefactor out there. He chooses to reward some and not so much others. And a lot of people don't understand why people would get upset, but it depends on which end that you are. There's some out there that he likes to aggravate, and I'm not really sure why. I haven't looked to see what kind of a pattern there is there. All I know is that one of the best ways to, if you want to tear up a channel or just cause dissension, is show favoritism one way and not necessarily another way. In other words, pick on somebody and reward or pat others on the back. It's kind of an age-old way of you can cause dissension in a crowd by picking a certain part of the crowd and patting them on the back, and the other one you throw barbs out at them, and then they look at each other, and one side says you're a jerk, and the other side, they're happy because you gave them so much. And that, in reality, that's what's going on out there. And when you have a channel and you depend on that channel for an income, you don't want to upset the apple cart because, well, these people, if they're supporting you and they give you some sizable gifts, well, you have the tendency to bend that way. You don't, your general makeup is saying, no, I would never do that. But in reality, you would have a tendency to at least lean that way. And it's a matter of sometimes the amounts. It can start out slow and then build up and then stop, and all of a sudden there's this vacuum, and you're worried a little bit. What'd you do to piss that person off? You're thinking, what have I got to do to get this person back on my channel to get some gold rolling in here? And how do I keep everybody in the chat happy when that channel over there, he's over there giving them memberships and monetary gifts? Because, what the heck? It puts channel against channel sometimes even. And, it can get pretty, and then pretty bad. But when you're looking at, why would they do that? And, there's only one common denominator between all those channels that are being surprised with gifts, and where part of them get gifts and part of them get smart aleck remarks. And when you look at if you line up all the remarks and put them up there, it you could see where it would cause a big divide. It just does. And then when the fight begins, the mods get involved in it because they're trying to keep it from getting out of hand. Because, quite frankly, the ones that are getting picked on have got friends within that group. And the ones that aren't being picked on but have monetary rewards, they don't want somebody to pick on their benefactor. So it's natural to say, oh, I like the benefactor. He's a good person. He's helped out, and he has never asked anything of me. Well, actually, what he really wants at that point, if he hasn't put a string on you, he's wanting your confidence. He wants you to stick up for him, and there'd be no reason for you not to, because he hasn't asking you to do anything special. He hasn't said, hey, there's a string on here to you yet. But what you didn't realize was that you can testify to his character because he's been good to you. And you wouldn't be lying, and there'd be nothing wrong with that. The other person, they're mad because he picked them. He said something to them. And it upsets them. Now, if you were on the outside and you're looking at a channel, you look out there and you listen for a while. And initially, you'll throw in some gifts that kind of cover everybody if you can. And you look at the response. And, you see other people that are making wishes. They could be wishing for something. And the guy looks at it and he's thinking, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on that person because this is somebody I can reward with something. But let's see if it's worth it. What is it in it for me if I reward that person? And so they look and see, well, do they have a lot of friends? Are they outspoken? There's just a lot of different factors involved in it. But let's say this guy's a good poker player, and he reads the people. Well, when you're in a chat, he can't see you, so he can't see your eyes. But he can see the way you speak, the things you say, how you interact with everybody else in the chat. Somebody that's fairly popular in the chat. And they might have a small need, so you reach out and you say, hey, I want to help you out. Here you go. And all of a sudden, that person's very happy and they're popular. And then in that same chat before the night's over, he nails somebody in there. Well, that person is butthurt that got nailed, right? So they're going to say something back. So they go back and forth a little bit. And, of course, the person that got rewarded because, why wouldn't they stick up for a benefactor? Took care of them, didn't ask anything. He gave them something they really needed or the hope for it, one of the two. And so now he can sit back and he watches the upheaval within the chat. Now, I know some of you are going to say, Ray, you're all wet. He's never done anything to me, and he hasn't done anything in the chat. And, I'm just disappointed that you feel that way. And, well, it's too bad that you're disappointed, but I'm giving you the real fact of looking from the outside, just looking at it. Because I'm not involved. I don't have to worry one way or the other. He can't say anything to me that's going to upset me enough to worry about it. You see, if I go on a channel, it's because I enjoy that channel. And I don't have to participate in the comments to enjoy the channel. Matter of fact, I didn't join the channel to do that anyway. I went in there to see what information is available. And when somebody says something up there and they ask a question, if I can answer it, I'm going to do it. But, in general, the channel itself brought me in, not necessarily the people that were in the channel. And yes, I realize that when you're in there long enough, you start recognizing people and you chit-chat back and forth a little bit. Whether it's a hi or goodbye or whatever it is, You become part of a chat family, okay, channel family. And you get a feeling, a good feeling, when you recognize somebody and you can talk with them and you get an answer back from that person. Makes you feel good. But if you're in that chat and you've got along, it doesn't matter if it's 6 months, a year, or 10 years, and a couple of people that you are very good friends with were rewarded handsomely, and all of a sudden somebody bit you, and so you bite back. Well, your good friends that got something handed to them, that they may stick up for that person, and now you are butthurt. And you become the bad guy because you bite back harder. Meanwhile, the other guy, he just sits back, and every once in a while he'll jab and then get back and watch the reaction, because the reaction's coming. And depending on how many are in the chat, it gets into almost like a verbal war for a while. And this is happening on a lot of channels. People that were good friends are fighting. People that were good people in the chat all of a sudden got butthurt, and now they're saying things on there that surprise people, because they say, well, they were never like that before. What's the matter with them? Are they jealous? And when you look at it, it's not jealousy. It really isn't. It's kind of sad. That's what it is. On the other hand, there is some people and channels that were helped tremendously. And I don't care how you look at it. Initially, it looked like a good deal because people were getting honest gifts with no strings, and things were smooth. It was kind of like, hey, look, this is the greatest guy in the world. Look, he took care of us. But something changed, and we don't know what made him change. Was it because it was his plan all along? Is somebody else pulling the strings? Yeah, it's a mystery. That's all it is. But for all of you that are getting drawn into this thing, remember why you started in the channel in the first place. For me, it's easy. I seen something of interest, and that's why I wanted to drop by and listen. I didn't notice the chat at first. It was actually the creator of the channel that brought me in there. Their charisma, their purpose, what they were doing. Maybe it was similar interest to mine. I just joined a channel the other day that has an interest that is close to my heart. I love cars. And it used to be all I talked about. And you could ask my wife. I get a nice big fat paycheck, and the first thing I do is buy another car to mess with. And every dealer in town knew me, car dealer. And a lot of times they'd call me up and say, I've got something you might be interested in. And I'd bring a car home and detail it and fix it and sell it. And sometimes they were classics where I'd spend a little more time on them. My yard always had 3 or 4 or 5 cars in it. My neighbors didn't like it at all. But it gives you an idea. You know, you have certain things you do because it interests you. And that drew me to that particular channel. And that's not just the only channel that I look at that has classic cars. There's Juniors. There's one called, it's called Auctions, but I don't want to name too many channels just out there, because they're good channels, but I watch them. Let's put it that way. Let's see. I watch a couple of them out there in Arkansas. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's some out there that are always showing classic cars that are for sale. They get them off the internet. They post it on their channel, and they give you a way to connect up with them and stuff like that. And some of them you can buy pretty reasonable, which is something. For me, what I really have learned out there, I'd have 1 or 2 classic cars in there if it wasn't for the cost of keeping up with them. I've had some really nice ones sitting in this garage, but they set too long, and things start going on them. I had a 65 Thunderbird that was immaculate, no rust ever, original upholstery. And that was the one thing I need to work on. I needed to take it in and have all new foam put in the seats because the foam that was in there had got to the point where it was deteriorating. And every time you sat down on it, you'd set just a little more. The foam compresses and it starts falling apart like sawdust underneath. The carpet was good in it, excellent, because it had been kept inside. It smelled like new in it yet. You know, it's not real leather, and there's more like a naugahyde. You know, back then they called it naugahyde. And I'd had the engine rebuilt to original specs, and because I let it set too long, the transmission got messed up. It was some of the valving in there was stuck or something. So I had to have a flatbed truck come and get it. They picked it up, took it in, fixed it, brought it back to me. But anyway, I had most of it brought back to original specs. When I got the motor rebuilt, it was sent to another state, and then they lost part of the bolts, you know, that went underneath there. And you could tell, you know, if you were going to be in a car show, you get graded by everything. And I was a little upset with that. And then my air conditioning was screwed up when it got back, when they put it together. So I wasn't happy with that. And that was it gets pricey, let's put it that way. And I finally sold it. And then I had a Mustang convertible in 1970. Beautiful car. I put all new upholstery, the upholstery myself. As far as putting it in, I mean, I bought the seat belts or not seat belts, but the covers for the seats. I bought that pre-made. I put all new padding inside. The carpet, I bought it out of California. It was made for the car, and I put sound deadener underneath it. All the things you have to do. I installed it. A lot of the stuff, especially, I don't have a sewing machine to sew up the covers or anything like that, so I had to order that stuff. But when I got done, it was, you know, black on black, beautiful, beautiful car. And now it wasn't a stock engine; it had a hopped-up motor in it. But other than that, it was pretty much just a classic car. And then I had a little Roadster for a while. I kept it for quite a while. And I really didn't have much for problems with it. It was just a fun car. It had a convertible top on it and side curtains that you take in and out. Real leather seats. Just a 4-cylinder motor. It'd go like heck, but it was just fun. I'll have to dig up some pictures and show them on here someday. But that's just for you guys out there get an idea. I look at more things than to look at. I look at them for fun rather than to pull something up and gripe about it or tell somebody how bad a job they're doing or something like that. In other words, it's entertainment. That's what draws me in there. And the Otter Creek thing, you know, that's probably something I should have never got involved in because I have so much fun messing with cars. There's things that, let's say, mechanically, that I don't know what to do or how to do it or what it takes for equipment. And so I look it up on here, and I find channels that are good at it and give all these special tips, how to customize certain tools to make them work. A good example of I have a Lincoln MKX. It's an SUV, and it's big. And I bought it when we retired to pull behind a motorhome. And the bearings went bad in the rear hubs. And originally, you'd have to almost pull the rear end out to get it. There's a couple of bolts in there that are extremely hard. So I went on the internet, and there was a guy on there who said, well, this is what you do. You go to Harbor Freight, you buy these pieces, grind this down, stick it in there, and it'll work. There's the the bolts that give you the worst problem will come right out, and you won't have to worry about it again. So I took a job that normally would be, let's say, 6 hours, and I could do it in about maybe 2 hours. It doesn't take long, and you get the new bearings, and you're off and running again. Now the bearing and the hub itself is kind of expensive, and it seems to be a weak spot. I've replaced them twice in that car, by the way. When I looked in there, I think the average span of time is 30,000 miles, and I didn't get that out of the first two sets. So, counting the original ones, the ones that are in there now are the third set. They're fine. They're going good. That set is over 30,000, but the first two were not anywhere close to that. So, just little things like that, you get tips. Of course, when I got into the Otter Creek thing, that was like a little war going on. And it's a lot different going over that stuff. And you get so many surprises when you get into something like that. What's really something is the threats. I mean, this letter that Volpe got. Wow. And I don't think that's the first letter or first time he's ever been threatened, because it didn't sound like it. And I get threats too, but mine are more like it maybe in the comments or something like that. Not anywhere near as bad. I don't have the email out there for everybody to look at, so I don't get those little letters coming in that threaten too much. There's always these sly remarks. Maybe one kind of threatens your, like watching in your mirror or something like that type, or hope you have fun in court. Or one of the threats was, well, better enjoy that truck while you can. That was after a threat by Jeremy for a lawsuit. But, people sue all the time, and you have to be prepared for it. And if you are, then, it's just one of them things. I know he likes to extend my way out on the court docket, which is fine. Two can play that game, and he asks his viewers to pay for his stuff. I'm amazed how many people. I mean, for him, it's a living and a game both. I mean, it's got all the elements for the whole works, and they pay it, no questions asked. That's quite a deal. I don't know. Some people just don't have a conscience. That's all. Seems like people that give the most can afford it the least. But and that's a matter of perspective too. I'm just giving you my opinion how things go. Anyway, today, like I say, it's Sunday. A little chilly out there. Nothing big to get on there for. I know Lisa's going to have quite a bit on her. Well, I don't know about quite a bit, but it sounds like it's going to be a pretty important discussion tonight. Might be well advised to go in there and listen to her for a little while. I know I'll be there if you come in, say hi. You could always go over to Super Dave's, and he shows the letter that came into Volpe. I don't know if Bruce will be on Lisa's show tonight or not. I guess we'll find out, huh? Everybody at one time or another gets those little letters. Oh, such a world we live in. When you think about stuff out there, all the threats that go on, and you wonder, why can't people just live and let live? Why do we all have to be so mean to each other? Maybe it's just our natural nature to do that. I don't know. But a lot of things, like looking at these classic cars, for me that's fun. And the old ones, 40s and 50s and part of the 60s, I can just close my eyes and I can look at the transmission or all the parts of the motor or distributor, whatever it is that I've worked on, and I still have that picture. When I close my eyes, I can still see that stuff. I know a lot of friends used to bring their transmissions to me and have me rebuild them when I was young. I was back in my 20s. I had a little single car garage underneath the house, and the little house I lived in, or my family lived in. And it seemed like it always had somebody's car in there. We'd bring it in there on the weekend, work on it, and then I have a neighbor that was up the hill. We'd work on stuff in his car. He had a nice big 2-stall garage. And we'd work on cars up there. And then there was, on the other corner, there was a friend of mine. He had a 1-stall garage, and we'd just kind of take turns helping each other out. A lot of times it takes 2 people to do something. And if there was a motor to pull or put back in, it's always handy to have that second person as well. And we just did it. It was like a hobby for us all. Matter of fact, well, like I say, I was clear on one side, then a friend of mine up the hill, and then on the other corner. We got together a lot of times. We'd have suppers and get-togethers and picnics, and because we had our common thing was cars and beer. We drink beer too. I mean, what fun is it working a car without a couple of cold ones? Especially in the summer. I don't do that anymore, by the way. And I don't rebuild motors anymore. It's just too hard to get up there over the hood and lean over it. My back don't bend like it did, and it's really sore the next day when I try to. Now, looking on something like this, I still go to the internet, and I've done quite a bit of work to that vehicle back there, that truck. The electronics and things like that, if I don't get the schematics on here, I can't work on the things that go wrong. I mean, everything, it seems like, has a module for something. And when my analyzer, when it says something on there and it calls one out, usually there's a half a dozen of them that could be a probable cause, and then you're wading through it and getting advice from somebody that's already been there. By the way, that's a 6.2 motor in there. It's a pretty hefty motor. Happens to be one that's just same as what they put in a vet. And even as heavy as that car or truck is, it's over 6,000 pounds. Sometimes I can spin the tires, even though it's an all-wheel drive. I can't spin them very far, but it's gone. I mean, it goes. I don't know how long it lasts if you keep doing that, though. I'm not much into drag racing or hot rodding anymore. Well, anyway, that's my Sunday. And it's kind of boring there, so I'm going to just wrap it up. And I'll see you tonight on either Lisa's show or I think that's about the only thing really going tonight as far as I know. I don't know if Tori's going to have something going on hers. She may. It's always worth a try to stop over there and see if she's doing some fabrication, though. Then I don't know if Robbie is going to be selling rocks today of any kind. Who knows? So unless he's going to wrestle some alligators this weekend. Never know when he's going to get a call popped in there. Super Dave has been on there once today, so I don't know if he'll go on there again. But Guapo, I'm sure he'll be doing something. He always is. He's like a live wire. He's all over the place. Well, with that, I think I'll just get off right now. Oh, don't forget about Darwin Goodson. I think he did a live today. I'm not sure. But he's always got some good words of advice, so stop by if you get a chance. Say hi. And as John would say, ta-ta.